Trump is firing Democrats, so the universe is healing. Welcome to Doug in Exile. We have a very special announcement at the end of this thing about memberships. But first, let's watch Trump firing through Russ Vogt all these Democrat jobs, and I couldn't be happier.
Russ Vogt, the OMB head, posted this a few minutes ago. It's a very straight and to the point tweet on X. He said, and if you guys could put it up, the rifts have begun. That means a reduction in force. This is what Russ Vogt came to the Oval Office to talk to President Trump about last week when the shutdown began. They were trying to figure out which agencies they could either temporarily or permanently suspend or terminate. And a big part of that is firing federal workers. An OMB source is telling us right now that not only have the rifts begun, but that they are substantial, which means that during a shutdown on a Friday afternoon, whatever the White House considers to be a substantial number of people are receiving notices either from their HR supervisors or via email.
That's right now. First of all, I want to know why they're getting these emails from their human resources supervisors when they should be part of the shutdown also. Someone should be sending the human resource supervisors that they're all getting fired. Let's hear from our sponsor, Chapter. Now, I'm just going to read the comments about Chapter that you all have sent me. I acted on your recommendation and called Chapter. Thank you. Saved money. Quad Club Tripod, 4 out of 4. I was very happy with the Chapter call. Stan told me to sit tight with my present plan. Pure class. Doug, I shared the number you've given me to a few friends, and some have already had great coverage, and some have been helped by Chapter. The friend that I shared it with is giving the Chapter number to the rest of the residents of the apartment complex he lives in, and told me to thank you very much for the help. By the way, you guys use that phone number and pass it around to your friends. That helps me out a lot. And the last one, thanks, Doug. I usually just ignore commercials on videos, but when I received a letter from Aetna saying that they were discontinuing my mom's Medicare coverage, I remember you mentioned Chapter. I called them and told them I heard them from the Doug in Exile show. Now, for all of you, it's your turn to call Chapter for free and unbiased Medicare help. Dial 631-961-8696. Okay, but wait, the meltdowns continue over the mass firings in Washington, D.C. under Russ Vogt. Here we go on part 2 of The Universe is Healing.
Track down exactly which agencies here on this Friday afternoon are now sending these notices of reduction in force, effectively layoffs, firings to their employees. And we just heard from a spokesperson over at the Health and Human Services Department that they are among those.
That woman back there walking by, fire her too.
Agencies, those departments that are going to be moving forward with agency rifts. I am told that here from the agency that it's going to be across multiple divisions, and that under the Biden administration, the department had become bloated. This is the spokesperson. HHS continues to close wasteful and duplicative entities, including those that are at odds with Trump administration's Make America Healthy Again agenda here. And so just how vast are these intended layoffs? It's not clear. We are 10 days into this government shutdown. We should also be clear at the same time that not only has the AFL-CIO filed a lawsuit, but also the American Federation of Government Employees. And there is actually a hearing that is pending to take place in Northern California this upcoming Thursday. Those lawsuits were filed ahead of this actual action being taken place.
They filed lawsuits before they even knew who'd get whacked. These are all going under RFK Jr., people who disagreed with him, all of the psychos over there, and duplicate agencies that they couldn't fire before. They are now firing. Special thank you to the Quad Club for watching all 4 videos. We're going to continue here, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick thank you. Those of you who watch all the videos today, you really help this channel out a lot, and I can't thank you enough. Here's Trump on the firings. This is a very short clip.
To begin firing federal employees during this government shutdown.
That's taking place right now, and it's all because of the Democrats. The Democrats are causing the loss of a lot of jobs with their it's a shutdown. It's their shutdown, not our shutdown. It's their shutdown.
It's the Democrat shutdown. Also, on a fashion statement, notice Trump is wearing a USA hat. the red hat with USA and not make America great again. I thought that was very interesting. I think he might be trying to do more of a big overall USA statement over just pushing his personal brand. And I think that's important. Here's Scott Jennings on Letitia James.
Yeah, well, they went to a grand jury. They showed them evidence. A grand jury decided to bring charges, just like in the case of Comey. And in both cases, they'll get to go to court and have their day in court. And we'll see if the evidence ever makes it to a jury of their peers. Look, I mean, Letitia James is the absolute worst possible poster child for the argument of selective prosecution. Her entire political career has been on the idea of selectively prosecuting one person, Donald J. Trump. Whether you think the merits of the case are strong or weak, or how you think it's going to
watch this Democrat lady on the upper right. She's going to start shaking her head no, and it's beautiful.
Play out. Going out tonight and crying and whining and fussing about selective prosecution when it comes to
and shaking your head, crying, whining.
Letitia James, who ran an entire campaign saying she was going to go after Trump. The cases she brought, it was only because of Trump. I don't think the American people are going to have too much sympathy for it. But she'll get to go to court. She'll get to make her arguments, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
She tried to bankrupt him. She tried to ruin his life and try to make it so he couldn't run for president.
So what are we going to do? She brought forward a case that she thought was meritorious, and it was found that it was meritorious.
By the way, thank God she failed in her ultimate goal. Otherwise, we wouldn't be bringing these hostages on Monday.
Good thing. That's true. That's the best point of all. If she failed, good thing she failed at her ultimate goal, or we wouldn't be bringing those hostages home from Hamas. That war would not be ending. If Letitia James and the Democrats got their ultimate goal of making Trump lose the election. I just want to go back to this old tweet I found from Letitia James here. This is from February 6th, 2024, over a year ago. It's Letitia James saying, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, they simply cannot be different rules for different people, because if they did lie, our government would throw the book at them. And now she's mad. The government's throwing the book at them. And I just wrote in response to her, this is directly to Letitia James on Twitter, remember, they never, ever mean it. Truth. Wait, there's more. Here's CNN.
How strong of a case do you think the Justice Department has? And separately, but relatedly, Lindsay Halligan, who is the acting U.S. Attorney, the Eastern District of Virginia. She is bringing indictments that it sounds as though people in the Eastern District of Virginia.
That's Lindsay Halligan. Holy moly.
Thought would be difficult to prove in a court of law. That is a higher standard than bringing an indictment. How big a task does she have ahead of her?
Well, look, mortgage fraud is something that's been used in many circumstances in other political cases. You got to remember, we sent Bernie Kerik to jail for 4 years because he made a mistake on his mortgage application. So there is certainly precedent for this. And it's particularly interesting when Letitia James brought an almost identical case against Donald Trump, in New York in a civil context. And so, I do think that when you certify that something is true and there's something in there that's false like that, you would expect that the Attorney General of the state of New York would be more careful in what she's putting on those applications. And so I'm sure that they have some kind of context to put those other documents into, whether those were things that were, put in after the fact, after it was discovered, whatever it is, we'll find out, soon enough. But Lindsay Halligan is somebody that I worked with before. I think she's a very smart lawyer, and she's bringing these cases, presumably because there is good evidence, for them. There is a grand jury that the process has been gone through.
Oh yeah, this is just normal legal stuff. Lindsay Halligan, who we got appointed specifically because the previous one said there was no case against Letitia James, that it wasn't strong enough. So they brought in Lindsay Halligan, who looks like a supermodel. But he says, this is a former Trump attorney, Tim Parlator, says she's a good lawyer. So let's let the system play out, even as Jake Tapper's up there in the corner, just about to start crying over the amount of fairness and justice that is coming to it. Here's a CNN goon. This is Rep. Jason Crow, Democrat from Colorado. I don't even know if I like hearing the Democrat opinions on this. This is on Trump ending the war in the Middle East. Will he give Trump credit?
Palestinian people stop starving. And we need a solution that allows both parties, Israel and the Palestinians, to have peace, safety, security, and self-determination. And until they both have dignity and the right to exist in security, this will never end. So that's what needs to happen. I don't trust Donald Trump. There's no reason to trust Donald Trump.
You don't trust Donald Trump. This guy's on the Armed Services Committee, by the way. Jason Crow, Democrat rep of Colorado. My mom lives in Colorado. How do you guys feel being the colostomy bag of America? Not you, my mom, but I mean the collective Coloradans vote. This is all Aspen, Denver, maybe Boulder, maybe even a little bit of Colorado Springs now, putting these kinds of twerps in office right here. He does not trust Donald Trump. And he'll claim to be pro-Israel, of course, but no.
I will, of course, work with any administration that wants to achieve those things.
You may not trust Donald Trump, but what has been achieved here so far is something that was not achieved by President Biden, with the potential end of the war and all of the hostages being turned over. So do you give President Trump credit for that?
That's CNN. She's like the enemy of Donald Trump. And CNN is now doing their job as journalists against a Democrat. This is a huge change in the news coverage. And my hat's off to this gal at CNN for doing it. She goes, it didn't happen under Biden. That's a fair question. That's good journalism, CNN. I don't just mean because you're hitting a Democrat. I'm saying because I'm used to you always covering for Democrats and always hitting Trump no matter what. This is good. CNN is healing, possibly.
Well, you know what I don't like? I don't like the fact that nearly 70,000 women and children and civilians have been killed in the last couple of years. Right? Do you think that's a success, Pamela?
Yeah. Who did that? October 7th under Biden. Who did that? You moron. You SOB.
Do you think that that's okay?
Well, I'm certainly not.
Yeah. That's what she was arguing, buddy. Rep Jason Crow. What a moral pillar of the Democrat Party. That's exactly what she was arguing. Yeah. She was saying it's okay that 7,000 people have died, mostly under Biden. Good job. Good job. Democrats are morally retarded. Morally retarded. Here's Senator Eric Schmidt, Republican, who is not morally retarded. He's morally erudite. Senator Eric Schmidt, today I sent a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio urging him to designate the international Antifa networks as a foreign terrorist organization. See, they're not just here in America, guys. Antifa isn't just a domestic threat. It's part of a global system of far left extremists. There's the recommendation. I hope so, because this is a reversal of Biden attacking MAGA Americans on their Antifa stuff. Here's Kristi Noem. This is the message that you get at airports during delays for the Democrat shutdown. This is a message from Kristi Noem. Instead of getting the normal CNN piped in, this is the message.
Hi, I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security.
Hot.
It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep you safe. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government. And because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay. We will continue to do all that we can to avoid delays that will impact your travel. And our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
Yeah, they don't. They want to win political scores. This hits the TSA officers, the people that scan your luggage and everything. So they're working without pay. So be extra nice to them as you take your shoes off and belt off and everything and empty your pockets out. I was going to show you this clip of John Thune, but he's just still kind of boring and slow. So let's skip to the next. This is John Thune. Poor guy. He's so boring, cannot make a fist. He has Mike Johnson next to him. Can we get some more masculine guys that know how to fight in their plays? Here's CNN's Tapper. This is a great one, guys. This is a great quote. The Democrat is trying to blame the shutdown on Trump, okay? And Jake Tapper says, hey, to be fair, we have to blame the Democrats because that's how we usually cover this stuff is whoever's doing this, it would normally go to blame. Normally it would be Republicans, but this time it has to be Democrats. That's Jake Tapper doing his job over at CNN. Watch this.
The ACA, that we have cut off medical research, all to pay for tax cuts that we made permanent for the very wealthiest Americans.
So you're blaming the Republicans for the shutdown, but in point of fact, it's the Democrats in the Senate who are refusing to vote for the clean continuing resolution to fund the government for 7 weeks. I mean, that just as a point of fact, the way that we have always covered shutdowns is that the party that is not voting for the CR, the continuing resolution to fund the government, is the party that is blocking the government funding and is responsible for the shutdown. That's how we did it the last time in 2018, 2019. That's the time we did before that during the Obama administration. I mean, it's your party that is refusing in the Senate.
Oh, good man, Jake Tapper. Did you hear that? That's some honest journalism. What is happening at CNN? He goes, look, if I'm going to be fair and cover this the way that it should be covered, okay? When Republicans did what you guys do this time, we blamed them for the shutdown. So scientifically, factually, to be fair, you guys are responsible for this shutdown. Again, I'm here to compliment CNN and the lefty media. If they act that way, I'm on board. And now my final little announcement. Tonight, the hour after this episode goes up, the beloved Miss Tenaple, look at this, is coming on the show, but it's only for my members, not the normal quad head. It costs double. If you're going to get access to me and Angie on our date night, you're going to finally get to see us interact. We're going to spend just a 30-minute time having coffee and tea with just the members. There's about 10 of them right now that are signed up to that. I'd love to get more of you signed up to the date night level with Angie and I, and we'll leave those live streams up for all of you to watch who are at that date night level. So it's right now, it's going to be about 10 of us hanging out in there, and you're allowed to ask us questions. We're going to talk about her political theory, what she does behind the scenes to help run this channel, and how much I adore her. I'm Doug in Exile. Shout out to the Quad Club. Thank you guys for watching all four. You know, I don't think that I deserve you as an audience. Subscribe.